guys, real quick before we get started, I wanted to say a huge thank you to Super Clean. They are sponsoring another giveaway for you guys on this channel. If you want a chance to win one of these plus one of their aerosol cans, just comment Super Clean down in the comment section below. And good luck, you guys. I will pick a winner in about a month. Give me a month from the day this is posted. I will randomly pick a winner and I'll get in touch with you. Thank you.
Kicking off this build, one of the first things that we have to get done is we have to make room for the intercooler pipes. And with the RSX, there's only one way to do that. We have got to relocate the battery. I'm not going to cover how to relocate the battery in depth in this video. I am going to make that its own standalone video that we're going to upload to the channel, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, we are going to move the battery down below the passenger headlight and run our own wiring so that way everything still works as it should.
All right, you guys, we're back out here working on the car again. So right now I'm only focusing on one objective, and that is to move everything out of the way that's in the way of the downpipe that we have to make for the turbo. So at this very moment, what I'm working on is I'm installing a low profile rear engine mount, the one that will replace that guy right there. Moving the power steering line and replacing it with this K-tuned unit that's kind of will tuck that out of the way and, you know, give me a better path for everything. We're also going to be trying to tuck the factory harness. I don't have a tucked harness per se, but like I want to see if we can just like move this up a bit, maybe undo some of this sheathing. It may be ugly, but as long as it functions, I'm not super worried about it at the moment. We can pretty it up after it's boosted. So we got that mount, power steering line, harness, and also got to do something with the heater hoses. I've also got a heater hose tuck kit that we're going to be putting in as well. The guy that's helping me do the welding, he didn't like the way the engine mount looks, so he's powder coating it right now. So while that's curing in the oven, I'm going to just like knock those bolts loose, get that out of the way. So I got a couple more bolts down there, but I've got to make room for it for this bad boy. Look at it. They powder coated this thing in like 20 minutes, man. This thing's already ready to go, dude. Powder coating is amazing. That is so cool. All right, let's go, baby. There's your side-by-side. Starting to get a decent amount of room up here in the engine bay. There we go. Look at all that room we got down there now. Way more room for the downpipe. I've got all the bolts cinched up except for this one. This is the last one I got to cinch up. After that, we're going to try to finish get the power steering line completely knocked out, so that way we can move on to either the wiring harness or the heater hoses. We'll see. All right, y'all, power steering line is out. That was actually way easier than I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to move a bunch of like the heater core actuator stuff, but it actually came up underneath it and slid right out. So now I've got the fitting all threaded in the back. So now we just got to get the fitting on there and then get this hose routed exactly where we want it out of the way. This old fitting out. I got the new AN fitting in. While I'm here, since it's already kind of in my way, I'm going to see if I'm going to play with the wiring harness a little bit to see if I can get it up and out of the way from where the turbo is going to sit, and then we'll jump back into the heater hose stuff. I'm just kind of doing stuff as it kind of gets in my way, so bear with me. What the heck is that? What is this, y'all? Does anyone know what that is? If you know, tell me. There. Oh, that's so nice. I thought I was going to have to pull everything through there. Okay, so that's done. So I just got to get this part off. Now, I don't even really know what the heck this is. There we go. That's off now. I guess it just slides on that way, but I couldn't tell. All right, so I got this piece off, so that's cool. It's not broken. Well, I mean, it is in one spot, but that's no big deal. So got that piece off. Let's keep stripping it a little bit, see where we can go with it. There you go. Get that piece off too. That's nice. This is so out of the ordinary for me. I hate doing stuff like this, but this is one of those things that simply must be done. We got the wiring harness de-loomed and completely out of the back of the engine. It just comes up and around the valve cover, kind of like tucked harnesses do, so I'm stoked with that. I may have to extend some wires here and there, but if I can get the car home like this, I'll be happy. So I'm probably just going to try and get the coil pack cover on here, or zip tie this up. But I do have some heat wrap that I'm going to put on everything, so I mean, I'm not leaving it like this, so don't freak out. Really, the only thing that's in our way that has got to go are these heater hoses. I guess if push came to shove, I could just run no heater. I don't want to do that. I've already got this guy in. I've already got this AM fitting done. It's in, ready to go. So I can plumb all the way up to this guy, and that one will be out of the way. I have got to find somewhere to get this one to go. So I'm going to dig around in my stash and see what I got. I'm trying to avoid installing the entire tuck kit, basically, because I don't like the way that this one has to be tucked. If I could just come off of here and then go down and then over and around, we're gonna have, I think we'll have plenty of room. I think I'm good. A little bit of bad news, I accidentally broke this guy back here. It came to pieces on me right here where this joint goes in. I have another one at home on my spare car that I introduced to you guys not long ago, so I'm gonna rob it, throw it on, no big deal, done deal. I'll fix that when we get home, but it's routed the way that it would be, so that's good. Also, I'm gonna actually end up using the factory hose, the factory heater hose that goes on the bottom of the firewall, and then I've got this guy plumbed in, and it's gonna whoop-de-doo come around, and then I'm just gonna get like a heater hose connector, like a little 90-degree joint, and just connect those two up, clamp it, call it good. Again, worst case scenario is that I just have to run without heat at some point or another, which will be okay because it's starting to warm up, so I wouldn't miss heat that bad. But either way, that's good. Everything plugged in on the harness really good. I've got to do some more stuff down there, but the point is that we are done doing everything I came here to do today. We got to turn the car over to Jackie, and we're going to see if we can get the turbo mounted up and see if we can't get that downpipe fixed. There's so much more room now, you guys. Oh my gosh, there's so much more room. From what I can tell, the wastegate is gonna go straight into these pipes. So may have to just do it the way that it's meant to be done, so that way it can be a lower profile or something. I'm not exactly sure. May just have to do it the way that it's meant to be done, so that way it'll actually fit and function the way it was designed to. But for now, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. For now, let's go ahead and try to mount up the gate. Right now I'm moving over these bungs that go for the vacuum lines on the wastegate on the other side, and because I thought I had a pretty good idea of how this was going to sit, and I was completely wrong, so I'm just swapping them over to this side so they fit better. All right, you guys, we got the turbo on. It's right around 2 o'clock, so it's about that time. I got everything done that I can get done today, so we're gonna pull the car into where the welding bay is, and we're gonna see if we can get this bad boy to cooperate with us at all. and Jackie have decided that we're actually going to space the turbo off of the Sidewinder about an inch. So I've got a inch spacer on the way. I've actually got 2 gaskets already, so we don't have to order any gaskets or anything, so we're good. I just got to get that spacer here, so that, because we needed to push the turbo out a bit. I actually prefer this fitment. It's not right up against the damn cam sensors or anything like that, and I got a little bit more room to wrap the harness and get it taken care of. So I actually think that puts the turbo in a much better position. But the main thing is that we needed to have a little bit more room, so that way the dump pipe actually can clear the wastegate a little bit better, and this just makes it a lot easier to get it to where we need it to go. All right, so we've got this 90 coming in right here, attached to this V-banded piece that's already welded, and we've got fairly decent clearance on the firewall. So we're going to pull the whole lot out and take a look at it on the bench and maybe throw some tacks on it. All right, guys, we just pulled into the place where magic happens every single day. So we're gonna go in here and grab a couple parts for the RSX, coolant, gaskets, things like that. All right, guys, we just left. We got the goods, and cool factor, we got a S2K right there with a HKS exhaust. It's got the burnt titanium tip. Man, it looks good. I bet it sounds good. But now we're gonna head back to where the car is, and we are hopefully, man, I hope, getting this thing home today, so that way we can work on it some more. We have had a very productive day working on the car. I didn't film a ton, but I'll show you what we did. It's nothing that y'all haven't basically already seen, but we have decided that we're going to space the turbo out about an inch. So we've been mocking everything up based on that. We have got the actual downpipe and the recirculation pipe for the wastegate. That's hooked up. It's good to go. It's ready to go. And we've already tacked on another V-band clamp, so that's good. Like we're finalized with that, and it goes out the back of the car super nice. It's rubbing a little bit on the tucked heater hoses that I've installed, but it's not too bad. Once I pull all this stuff off, I'm gonna like really do a good job of tucking everything on the firewall back as far as it'll go, and we're also heat wrapping that guy, so no worries there. Speaking of tucking, I got what I did yesterday with the wiring harness. This is the factory harness. I got it cleaned up, sheathed all the way down, wrapped in some good electrical tape, and I've got it underneath the valve cover away from all the really hot stuff. So I'm super pleased with that. On top of all that, really the only thing else I've done is add power steering fluid, and I ran a brand new vacuum line for the brake booster. So this goes all the way in. It's tucked in real nice. We've got the Honda check valve in there. If you see the E with the arrow on it, the E just stands for engine. Just point that towards the engine and you're good. And I've got it tucked up all in there, clamp back there. And this line is good for 50 PSI, which is, I don't think we'll ever hit that. But even if we do, the check valve will stop it. So that's good. We just got to hook all that up. And really that's about it. I've done, you know, a little bit more tucking with the wiring harness, nothing crazy. The fuel line is kind of out of the way, but the fuel is going to be completely different. I kind of mocked up where I think I might put the fuel pressure regulator. I don't know if that's going to be like the final spot, but it just bolts up right there. So, I mean, that might be a decent spot. We're going to come in with our main feed here, go out, come around. It's going to switch from -8 to -6. I'm going to tuck it away and heat wrap it and make sure it doesn't get hot, and go down there at the back of the firewall and go back underneath and chase the -8 all the way back to where we're going to have the fuel return for the pump. So, I mean, today has not been a great filming day because we haven't really done a lot. All we've done is kind of measure twice, cut once, weld, measure twice, cut once, weld. This is the kind of stuff that you don't see a lot of times. Like, it takes all day to make a piece of pipe that's 12 inches long for this kind of stuff, with how tight the tolerances are that we have. And we're trying to avoid everything, but also try to make it serviceable. There's a lot of thought that goes into it, because sure, it may fit in there, but if you can't ever get it back out again once it's all bolted up, or if you can't bolt it up to begin with, then what's the point? So that's what we've been working on. But she is coming along real nice, boys. So hopefully hopefully well before this time tomorrow, we're gonna have the car itself back home, and we've got to drop the trans. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Quick detour to the junkyard. We have this Element here, and Wes is robbing some stuff for his own sake. I robbed this sweet 30mm thick front sway bar, and that technically should bolt straight up to the RSX, so that'll help clear our dump pipe for the turbo really nice, and it should make the front a little bit more rigid. So hopefully that bolts right up and doesn't give us any issues. So we got that. We're gonna grab a couple other things around here, and then we're gonna get back to the car. Okay, y'all, the RSX is back together. We've got all the welding done, we hope, and we did a few more things, but we gotta get this bad boy home open header. So we're just bleeding the cooling system right now. We're about to get on the road. Well, we did it. We got the RSX back on the road. It's a little loud. We got the open header, but it's only gonna be temporary. We just gotta get it back home. Once we get it back home, got tons and tons of more work to do, so stay tuned. All right, y'all, we are back in the home shop, which makes working on the RSX a little bit easier. So what we're doing today is my really only goal is to get the transmission out. So we got to install the Clutchmaster's FX725 twin discs so it can actually handle the power. Everyone pay your respects down below for the transmission, because it is cooked, boys. It's not going to survive. I don't think it will, but I'm going to be very ginger whenever I am driving it. So we are planning on building it at some point, but that'll be a whole different video series. So, but we are going to pull it today. So I've already got the wheels off. I'm going to knock the axle nuts loose real quick. And I've got the Nut Buster 10,000 here. So that right there should be able to handle it just fine. 36mm socket on there. So we're going to keep trucking along. We got a lot of other stuff I'm going to try to do today. I might try and knock out pretty much the entire fuel system. I got to make A-in lines and all that stuff. We got everything that we need to do so. So we're just going to tackle as much stuff as we can get done today. Well, that was easy. Thank you, Roby, for being awesome. And we're back. All right, you guys, so we have made really good progress today. We got the transmission pulled. Everything else is out of the way. I did find an issue with one of the bolts holding on one of the lower control arms on the passenger side here. I need to get a chaser and tap. So we'll chase those, tap the other ones, clean them up real good. Everything else went very smoothly. I even installed the SHG steering rack slider that I didn't show you guys, but I did get that in there. When we come back tomorrow, all we have to do as far as the transmission is concerned is I got to get the flywheel off. I didn't have my 19mm 12 point with me. And good morning. It is in fact the next day. I guess I should say good afternoon. And we have one goal and only one goal today, and that is to install, or well, to get the transmission back mounted up to the car. So like I left you guys last night, we got it out, so I got to get the flywheel off for the new Clutchmasters one. And like I said, I did get the SHG steering rack slider installed. It was really easy when you pull the transmission out. So all I needed was a adjustable wrench, a little bit of grunting, and we got it in. Here is the factory one. I got the SHG Delrin one, slammed it in. Really wasn't that hard. I used a razor blade and cut the middle of where it mounts out instead of trying to pull the whole boot back. I don't have the tools to do that, and I just wanted it to look normal. I think the little slit thing, I think that's fine. I mean, nothing's gonna get up in there, I don't think. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'll pay the consequences of that later on in life if I have to. So, got that in, got that done, and the steering should feel crisp after the fact. You guys are gonna take a ride on the clutch. So this right here might be the deciding factor on whether or not this car gets done by Import Alliance or not, because I don't know if I've said this or not, but we are under another time crunch, and I swear I don't do this on purpose. So we've got our Clutchmaster's FX725 twin disc. One big gripe about this kit, it does not come with this. I've got a drawer full of these for different cars I've had over the years. I've got a handful of Honda and Acura ones. No big deal. They do supply a brand new throwout bearing, But no clutch alignment tool, no grease. Shame, 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 Clutch Masters. So we're gonna get this pulled off. We're gonna get it bolted to the car. So we have got the flywheel all torqued up to 130 foot-pounds of torque. Those bolts are installed dry and they are ready to rock and roll. Flywheel looks good. About to install the pressure plate, and this is very, very simple. You've got your organic plate that goes on dead last. And I'm not going to pull everything off because it's already clean. So I cleaned all the metal surfaces with some brake clean. So you simply just have to, you have your pressure plate, then you install the ceramic friction material first on the A side towards the pressure plate, and everything's labeled super nicely. Then you have your B side here. Then you put on this metal plate that acts as the gripping material for the friction. And then, so you put that on, then you put on your C side, and then you have your D side of your organic clutch, and it says flywheel side here. So it's just, not including the pressure plate, it's just 3 discs. It's your ceramic, the metal plate, and then the organic plate. And then that whole lot will get aligned with the clutch tool that they do not supply. So, you know, keep that in mind. And then I personally, with the pressure plate bolts, I put a dab of blue Loctite on them. And I've done that for years and never had a problem. So that's what I'm going to do here. Once again, some amazing progress on the car. We got the twin disc Clutch Masters FX725 installed in the car. It goes into gear, the clutch feels amazing. They claim 50% heavier clutch pedal weight, and I can confirm it's definitely heavier. So it's gonna take a little bit of getting used to, but drivability should not be too bad. We got a lot of stuff buttoned up. Got every transmission bolt in, cinched down and tight. Got the cables reattached. Got a bunch of like plugs and stuff replugged in and all that stuff. Not too much more is missing off the car. So the next step we're gonna take is gonna be fitting up turbo related things. So the clutch was kind of like a wild card. So I don't know if I've spoken much about it, but I'll repeat it here. My tuner, Jeff Evans Tuning, thank you so much for everything you've done. But I spoke to him and I was just like, hey, will the organic factory exceeded clutch make it on the spring pressure that we have on the wastegate? And he blatantly told me no. Foolish to think, honestly. I was hoping that maybe it would at least make the trip so I didn't have to spend the extra money on the clutch, and I was debating other clutches and everything, but I landed on the FX725 because that's the clutch I've always actually wanted, to be fair, but you know, I didn't want to waste the money on like a FX400 or something similar. So we went with that. We bled the cooling system. All of that has kind of stayed. This is the only tuck line I'm running. I've done my own kind of thing here with all of this, so that's working. It's bled. I'm not going to change it. If the car for some reason springs a leak on the way to IA, I have a cap for this 10AN, and I've got a bung for that to plug it so I can run the car with no heat, but the engine will be safe, and that's the key component with that. We got the Honda 4-bar map installed, got everything buttoned back up on the transmission, slave cylinder is in. Everything is looking pretty awesome, pretty fresh. So I think maybe one of the next things I'm actually going to tackle is making sure that I can get the intercooler bolted up no problem and it not hit anything on the front. This is a concern, but I think we're just barely going to make it. Everything on here looks good. I can actually chop that off if I need to. That doesn't do anything. So I'm going to do that. We're going to get intercooler piping routing done, and we are currently waiting on, for the turbo, some stainless steel exhaust manifold studs that will bolt to the back of the K series. So gotta wait on that. They should be here soon. Subframe is ready to go. A lot of stuff is ready to go back in. So we got the bushings here for the element sway bar and a bunch of other goodies here that are ready to go in the car. Just a laundry list of things to do. The fuel pump is done, but we still have to make some fuel lines. Hopefully I can get all the AN line stuff done in just one day. We got the turbo feed, which we don't have to make. Turbo drain, we do have to make. Then our dash 8s from the tank up, and then our dash 6 from the engine back. So that is all that is gonna be. We had to thread the RBC because that broke. Brand new line. I think I talked about that briefly. And so I'm just gotta measure this and zip tie it and do all that and cut it. And I've got a brand new fitting on the way. That's -4 NPT, or it's not -4, it's 1/4 inch NPT thread to a 3/8 barb fitting. Easy, easy, 90 degrees. Don't get the 45 like I did because problems ensue. So everything else is good to go. We got to throw in injectors and things like that. So hopefully everything from here is all turbo stuff, which the clutch technically was a turbo thing, but it was something that I did not foresee having to do, but now it's done. So next thing I'm going to work on is probably going to be AN lines. We are at 0 PSI on fuel pressure, so I'm going to go ahead and unhook the fuel pump permanently because we're going to drop in the one that I built. So let's do that real quick.
And a quick side note here, you guys, I'm not going to be showing you how I built the fuel pump. I do have that footage. If you guys want to see the process of how I custom built a fuel pump from the factory hanger out of this car, then I will edit that and upload it. Just let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd like to see.
There we go. Now the fuel pump cannot prime because we got that unhooked. That may be the first time this this cover has ever been open, you guys. So looks like down there we've got plenty of room to fish up our lines, so that's the next thing we're going to work on. So making AN lines is pretty simple. You just need a million fittings, and then you just have to take these fittings apart, and you got to have the, you know, correlating hose and all that stuff. But you unscrew this bit. Also helps to have the right tools for the job. So there you go. This is what actually protrudes inside of the hose, and it's tapered to create that locking, that mechanical lock on it. And I got these vice jaws on Amazon. I got this aluminum wrench on Amazon as to not booger everything up, but it is as simple as taking your hose, and a lot of people put tape on here so that way it doesn't actually interfere with anything, but you can get it started and you just thread it in there, and it does take some doing, but you can make it happen. And you don't want it to be too deep, because if it goes too deep then you won't get a good seal on it, which I know is counterintuitive. Like, you want to try and force it in there as deep as you can, but if you put it in there all the way to where it's flat against the back of this fitting, then this won't have anywhere to go. And another big tip for you guys, lube. This is actually motorcycle fork oil, but any kind of lube, I wouldn't necessarily use like WD-40 or anything like that. Motor oil would be perfect for this, but motorcycle fork oil is what I have easily at my disposal. So that, I was having a big issue with actually like pushing the line itself out of the bottom fitting, and adding a little bit of lube to where the mouth of this goes into the actual hose has been the biggest difference, because it actually lets it like glide past where the mouth of the hose is, and it causes it to not bind up or anything weird. Then once you get your thread started, you can use a crescent wrench. I've done it, but you know, this right here will ensure that you don't make it look ugly after, you know, you've invested a ton of money into it. So it takes a couple of tries, but the concept of it is very simple. And as you snug this in, you want to make sure that your hose is not getting pushed out of the back of the fitting. And you want this to go all the way down. You don't want it to stop halfway like I've had mine do in the past. And you want it to be locked down nice and tight. And once you do that, you can take it out. You can test your work. You can see if it comes out. You can kind of see it bulges just a bit here, which is kind of what you want. And you know, you can always just take and try and pull it out. So yeah, that's all there is to it. You just do that a bunch, and you'll get pretty good at it. And then cutting this stuff is pretty gnarly. I mean, they make some cutters that'll cut straight through it, but I just use like a cutoff disc on a grinder, and that seems to do pretty good for me. So that's what I've been doing, because a lot of this stuff is steel reinforced, so the grinder kind of helps and kind of burns the edges a little bit. So, you know, but that's really all there is to it. It's just a bunch of measure twice, cut once kind of deal. So we're gonna do that a whole bunch and get this fuel system sorted. And there we go. All right, there is a fuse in the power line. I've got everything snugged down. I'm gonna prime the system and see if anything leaks. I gotta get all this stuff plugged in, of course. So let me take care of a few things and then we will prime it. Okay, y'all, we are getting very close. I have changed this fuel input line right here to a 90 degrees. So that way it's not touching anything because it was hitting the back side of the throttle cable bracket. And then I've also finished up completely making the AN lines for the catch can. The catch can is still not mounted. Probably just gonna end up using some zip ties for now or something. I'm ready to get this thing started and running. So I've also got to figure out where the heck I'm gonna end up getting a filter. If it ends up just coming out and being short and just being right here, that's fine. Don't have a lot of room for it. Eventually I'm gonna have to end up modifying these pipes. They could be ran a lot better. This could kind of come down more aggressively, and then the blow off valve could actually sit here and still kind of follow that same line. But like this right here takes up a lot of space that I could use otherwise, because I'm not running this thing without a filter on it. That just seems crazy to me. So with that being said, we got to find a way to get that in there, which we will. But one of the last things that I have left to do is I've got to figure out all the plumbing for the vacuum lines, which shouldn't take too terribly long. But the last thing that I'm working on, since I'm on the topic of AN lines, is I'm working on the turbo oil drain. We've got the feed all prepped and ready, and we have got everything connected back here. It's not pretty, but it's functional. So that's all I care about at the moment is function. And so once we get this thing started and running, and it's hopefully going to be quote unquote reliable, then we can pretty things up later on. But right now it's getting down. We're getting down to the wire here. I'm actually going to end up changing this to a 45. So that way this is not as close. And so I've got those on the way. They were actually out of stock for a few days, but got that taken care of. But so really the last things that we have to worry about is turbo oil drain, the plumbing for the rest of the vacuum tubing, and then all we gotta do is throw in the subframe, axles, things like that. One of the last things that we got to do is we got to worry about cutting the bumper. We're probably gonna have to like chop a lot of this out, unfortunately, but once we chop that, should not have to worry about most of it fitting after that. So yeah, we're going to I'm going to jump to the finishing off all the AN stuff, and we're just going to start checking stuff off the list. So let's get to it. So I've got a plenty of dash 10. This is my shortest piece of dash 10, so I'm going to see if I can make this work. If not, I've got that longer piece that we can then cut. But if this piece will work, then that's just less that I have to cut, and then I'll have more left over for anything in the future. So we've already got the fitting in. This is a 1/2 inch MPT, and I've got it capped because it was leaking oil, obviously, when I pulled it off, but I capped that really quickly. And so we've got to make it, I know this is going to be difficult to see, but we have to make it all the way up there without interfering with anything. And all of this extra plumbing and stuff for the wastegate and all that stuff is right up in our way. We got our input fuel line that we need to finish zip tying up out of the way. We've got our shifter cables that cannot be interfered with whatsoever. So yeah, lots of work still left to do on that, y'all. But this right here, this is going to be difficult to say the least. I mean, like, there's just so much more plumbing that we have to deal with turbo stuff, and yeah, it's just been a big learning experience, but I'm excited to get it done. So let's see if this hose, this -10 hose, is actually gonna make it. I believe it's more than enough line. Yeah, I mean it's definitely more than enough, because remember we got to go around the axle as well. I don't want to go behind the axle. That would be really tight for the drain. So this is going to be a 45 degree, I think. I think a 90 is probably going to be too sharp, but we're going to make this a 45. And let's see. We also have to make sure that we're not going to be hitting the subframe or anything weird, because like the subframe has to be put on. So this will end up about right here, and then we can zip tie this up out of the way. Maybe put some sheathing on it to keep the heat away, which would make a lot of sense. So we'll sheathe that and then put a 45 on it right there. And we shouldn't, the subframe stuff shouldn't be in the way too much. I can go back and reference some videos and things like that, but we should be fine on subframe stuff. And this line should be well and truly long enough. So I'm actually going to go ahead and throw on the 60 degree that we're going to be putting on the turbo side of things. I've actually been able to pull these out before, but that was textbook perfect. So now I can test the other side. I think what I'm actually going to go ahead and do, y'all, is I'm going to go ahead and throw in the subframe and the axles and stuff like that. It's going to make it more difficult to work on for sure, but I need to know where the engine mount's going to be, where the axles are going to be. Like I need to be able to visually see it, because I don't want to guess this and then have to remake the line, and it'd be even more of a pain to have to do it off the car, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, here's my plan. It may be completely idiotic, and if it is, I'll let you know, but I'm going to go ahead and bolt this up to the turbo and just leave this line dangling, and then if I need to, I can cut it on the car and I can build it on the car. I've built half of these lines on the car. It's a little bit more of a pain, but if you have a crescent wrench or 2 crescent wrenches, it's doable. I've done it. All right, y'all can probably see better than I can, but we got that sucker tight. It's where it needs to be. I probably need to clock it a little bit better, but we can do that later. As long as this thing doesn't touch anything or interfere with anything, we are golden. So let's get the car put back together. We'll get some axles in, we'll get the subframe put back on, and then we can adjust this as we need to. Looks like we got absolutely plenty of line there that we'll actually probably have to chop it a bit, but I'm satisfied with that. I got the turbo guard on. It's not too bad. I'm glad. I was concerned about it being so short, but actually it would not work if it wasn't that short. So I'm actually pretty stoked about it. It could be better, but I'll take this over it sucking in random crap from the engine bay any day. Okay, y'all, I got a lot of stuff taken care of. I got the transmission filled back up with fluid, so that's good to go. I've got all of the engine mounts tight. They're all together and tight. I got a couple other little things I gotta do, but we are ready for the main event, which is finally finishing the turbo oil drain back line. So now that we have an idea of where it needs to go, how we're gonna run it, I think best thing to do would be to run it right through here. So we're definitely gonna have to shorten it up, it seems like, which is fine, easy enough to do.
And then it's gonna be a little bit close to this, but that's why we've got the heat sheathing on it. And it's gonna just run, I want it to go down as much as possible. So that seems to be as down as it can go, keeping it as far away from the exhaust as possible. And this part of the exhaust is easy enough to heat wrap, so I will heat wrap that soon. I have got everything buttoned up. The catch can is zip tied in place. The vacuum block is zip tied in place. We're gonna fix all that stuff later on. I've got everything ran where I think it kind of needs to go. I've got this ran, all the vacuum tubing. So we had to run vacuum tubing from the blow-off valve, from the fuel pressure regulator, and I had to get a vacuum reference off the RBC right here, and we've still got the brake booster running off there, just dedicated for that, with the one-way valve. So everything's good. I've got everything tight, I'm pretty sure. At least I hope I do. Yeah, I do. So we are going to start this thing. Hopefully it'll go. And I'm gonna data log the first startup and send that to Jeff over at Jeff Evans Tuning, or Evans Tuning rather. I'm gonna go ahead and start the data log, or well, once I get the car turned on, that's how Gopro works. Fuel pump primed. I'm starting the data log. Clutch is in, and cross your fingers. It started! Woo! All right. It coughed a little bit, but the air to fuel ratio came back. We probably need to lower the fuel pressure a little bit. It's at 80. I'm going to bring it down to about 50 or so. Oh my God, it's working. Okay, so I got the fuel pressure to come down a good bit. Everything seems to be firing. The engine's running really, really smooth. Check this out. I'm gonna hit the throttle. Watch this. You guys see it move? That is so cool, man. That is so cool. Okay, I've got to send some emails to Jeff, and then we can throw the wheels on and hopefully go for the first drive. So let's do it. Let's do it.